Hey, you guys, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and today we're here to do another Little Red Truck project. Now, our Little Red Truck over there is getting kind of lonely, so we're going to make a camper to go with it. And yes, this camper's already made because this is the one we got from the Dollar Tree. And watch what we transform this into. So let's get to the craft desk and get started. Let's go. All right, guys, here's our inspiration piece that we're going to be using to make this. And this inspiration came from Hobby Lobby. Okay, you guys, we're going to take our little camper we got from the Dollar Tree, and the first thing we're going to do is start removing all the little pieces and that glitter that's on there. We're going to take the door off, the fender off, the window off, and even the little Christmas tree at the top. We're going to use our little putty knife, and what I found works best for this is not to just stick it straight in just like it is, because see how hard it is to take it off. You can usually get it under that Christmas tree on the back, but those front pieces going to need some little help. So the best thing to do is take your heat gun and heat up your metal putty knife, and it'll come right off just like these did. Now I'm going to take each of these pieces and I'm going to sand them down, and I'm going to sand off that glitter on the front of the camper as well, and those little rough spots where it didn't quite come off really clean. But we're not going to worry about that, and I'm going to take my little desk vacuum and clean up all my glitter, because that stuff does make a mess. And when I say a mess, it makes a mess. So now I'm going to put my little, those are cutting mats or craft mats for kids from the Dollar Tree. I always paint on one of those because I can wipe it off really easy. But I'm going to place it under my project and I'm going to start painting. But the first thing I'm going to do is what you're seeing me do here is I'm measuring out the little, where I want my little jinga block to go that's going to hold our camper up in the front when we sit it in our stand. And so I'm measuring up 7/8 of an inch. And that's where I'm going to want it to go to at the top of it. And I'm going to just take and hot glue that and right to it on the front of it. You can put wood glue and hot glue, but I'm not too worried about this piece. And then I just put that on there, and there we go. And now we're ready for the next part. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put that second block on that attaches it to the truck, but I decide not to. Now I'm going to take out my chocolate sprinkle. I think that's what it is. What is the name of that color paint? Oh, I was supposed to have this stuff written down. Okay, that is chocolate sprinkle and classic caramel is the two colors that I'm using here. And I'm putting down two colors because I want to give this camper that wood look to it. And so I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to dip it in back and forth, loading up my brush, putting one color on one side and then one color on the other side. And then I'm going to make straight lines all the way across. And I can cover this up. I'll do this from there down to the glitter line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep putting coats on until I get all that stuff covered up nice and pretty, because we want it to look really pretty for to match our inspiration piece. And by doing those two colors like that, you can blend them and keep blending them until it looks like wood. Okay, and I'll put 2 or 3 coats on this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my metal pan that I get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut out my door, my window, and I'm going to cut out the fender as well. Now I don't end up using the one for the window or the fender. I end up doing something else with that, and I'll show you what it is when we get to it. But I cut out all those pieces and got them ready to go. And then I believe the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my flag red paint. Oh no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm going in there and I was looking at the pieces to see if that's actually what I wanted to use, if I wanted to use those 10 pieces or not. But it's not. What am I doing? I'm taking my flat red paint and I'm going to put it down on my plate. I guess I feel like you guys need to see the red paint. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take the red paint and I'm going to paint everywhere that glitter was. And I'm going to do 2 or 3 coats right there of that. And I'm going to make sure I don't touch my tire. That way I can get the perfect round circle when I come back in and paint that with the black paint. Now, when I come back in to paint my second coat on, I'm going to make sure I get all the way around those edges of my little camper with the red paint. Now, I'm not painting that brown piece on the front red. I'm just going to leave it brown. And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to paint my front door. I don't know why, because I covered it up with the tin pan in a few minutes, but I did. I guess I felt the need to paint the edges of it, but I painted the whole door. You don't have to paint the whole door if you don't want to. At this point, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, so I just went ahead and painted it red, I guess. Alrighty. So the next thing I'm going to do is put that down, and then I'm going to get my next 2 pieces and I paint them red, but then I decide no, red's not the color I want, and I'm going to pull out the black paint. So I set that aside and let it dry. All right, after it's dry, now I'm going to pull out my black paint that I got from the Walmart. And this is a multi-purpose paint, and it does have a glossy shine to it, which I didn't mind for this project, so that's the reason why I'm using that versus the chalk paint. So I'm going to paint my little Fender black. You're probably thinking, why is she painting that Fender black when she's got that wheel that's going to be black? But just wait and see what we do with this. I'm going to paint that black. Then you're going to see me pull out a regular sized popsicle stick, and I'm using my little pliers so I can get into those little places and not get that paint all over my hands, because y'all know how that drives me nuts, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out where I'm going to sit this down at now. Okay, next I'm going to take my wheel and I'm going to paint my wheel. I'm showing you that I'm not painting that little jinga block that I glued on the front of it, but I'm going to paint my wheel black. And then after I finish the wheel, then I'm going to come in with some white paint and I'm going to paint the center of my wheel white. And then I'll paint something else white. What was it? Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the white paint and I'm going to paint my little window white, not red, white. And it's going to take a couple of coats, and you want to make sure you get all the way around the edge of that piece as well as across the front of the window. And you're probably going to have to put about 2 or 3 coats if you use the kind of white craft paint that I have. But if you use a better craft paint, I use what's been given to me and it's been free, and I've just got paint from all kinds of places, so I just use what I have. But you can just get the apple barrel paint, or you can get this whatever kind of white paint you want to use. If you want to use white chalk paint on it, you can. Now there's the piece I should have painted black. That's my one popsicle stick, regular size popsicle stick that I'm going to paint black. So I'm going to put another coat on my window, and I'm going to paint the center of my tire as well. And then I'm going to go paint that popsicle stick black. Now I put about 3 coats of white paint on that window and on my tire, and then I put 1 coat of paint on my little popsicle stick because my black covers really well with 1 coat. Now what you see me doing is I'm getting a little silver button out to match the little red truck that I did. And what you see me doing here is I'm looking to see how big of a circle I have there. And I'm taking one of my little red trucks and I'm making my circle so that I can close that in with some more black, because I don't need it to be that big of a white circle, because we're going to take a little piece of the silver aluminum pan, and we're going to cut it to the size that of that circle we just traced on there with the little red truck, and we'll just use our embossing tool. Let me see if I can't find that for you. Hold on. Okay, now I had cut a bunch of these little circles out of the metal because I knew I was going to be doing more of the little truck pieces. So I already had a little silver one cut, but what you can do is you can take the truck and put it on your little piece of metal tin pan and just emboss around it, and that'll give you a line to cut out. And then I just cut it out with a pair of old scissors. I don't use my good scissors, I use my old scissors on this because it is a tin pan and I don't want to dull my good scissors for doing this. And I just trim around it, and that's going to give me, I didn't use the one I had because I wanted to show y'all what you needed to do, but then you can take that and use it. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you got your little door cut out, but I cut that with that rib on the bottom of it, and I'm going to cut that off so that I can use it as a fender right underneath my door, so that it kind of looks like a little step or something, a little step up. So that's the reason why I cut that piece off of there. Okay, the next thing you're going to see me do is I'm going to take my white paint and paint my Christmas tree white on the front and the back, and making sure that I get full coverage on it on both sides so that it looks nice. And then I'm going to paint the back of my camper as well, and I'm not going to make y'all sit here and watch all of that. But basically I'm covering my tree in white before I put the green on. Now I'm going to take the Christmas green. What am I doing? I'm drying the coats in between. Okay, I put a coat of paint on of the Christmas green, and now I'm going to put another coat of the Christmas green on because I just don't feel like it's dark enough at this point. So I'm going to go through, and I'm only doing the sections at a time as I go up, and I'm leaving my brush marks in there because I wanted to give it that little tree limb look, whatever you call it. What's that called? Where it looks like the tree itself and the actual pieces, and it just didn't look like a piece of green painted board. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, while I still have a little bit of green on my brush, I'm mixing it with some white, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to highlight each of the little tips on my tree to match the tree that I did for the little red truck. And so I'll just keep doing this until I get it looking like I want it to, and then we'll let it dry. Then we need to paint the base of it, and I'm going to use the chocolate sprinkle to paint the trunk of my tree on here, and I just want to make sure y'all didn't forget that part. Okay, the next thing I'm doing is I've got a little jute bow that I took off my decor tag that came on this project, and then what you see me doing here is I took my little paint bottle and wrapped my little tree garland around it so that I can make me a wreath for my door. And I'm just putting it on there, seeing how I want it to look and whether this bow is going to be sufficient or if I need to do something else. So then I got a little Christmas tree from the thrift store that had these little red berries on it and these little holly leaves, and I'm just wrapping that into my wreath to give it another little texture. And then I will cut the end of that off because I don't need it to go around twice, and I can save the rest of that for another project out of my bits and bops bag. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to twist that down so that it just looks cute. Looks like it's supposed to be that kind of a wreath. Okay, so I believe I didn't show y'all the footage, but I glued my Oh, I gotta find that because y'all really need that. See how I put my little window in there? Hold on, let me find that. I am so sorry about this, you guys. I got this all out of order. So, what I was showing you there was my little Christmas tree. I doodled on it and I put glue on it and put glitter on it. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going to glue my fender piece that I was telling you that I cut off the bottom of my little door that I cut out. And I'm going to take that and put it at the bottom of the door, in between the door and the camper. Then I'm going to take my little door and I'm going to glue it down. I don't bother using wood glue with this. I just go ahead and put the hot glue on there, and I'm going to put it right back over where the other door was, because as you see there's a little rough spot there, but all of that's going to get covered up and it's going to be okay. So we're going to put this down, and here's where our camper really comes together. Then I put my door down, and then I'm going to glue it down with just hot glue. Now, if you're hot gluing onto the metal, you want to do it pretty quick because that's going to cool off really fast and you may not get it to stick down like you want it to. So I'm putting hot glue on the door, and then I'm going to put the metal piece on it because then I have more time to work with it. And I put it up a little higher, leaving a gap down at the bottom so that my fender sticks out. And then I'm going to take my little wreath that I made and put it on. But I'm going to hot glue that little piece on the wheel to match my little red truck that I did. And then I'm going to take my button and I'm going to put some hot glue down and put that on there because that'll make it match my little red truck that I already did. So the next thing I'm going to do, let's see, what am I doing next? I'm going to put my window on, and I just put hot glue on the back of it, and I'm going to place it right over the top of where the other window was, move it up just a little bit because we got another piece we're going to stick in there. Then I take my popsicle stick and put it on the straight part of the window, and I take the fender and I'm going to put hot glue on it, and I put it right around that edge because I'm going to raise it up a little bit higher and I don't want the hot glue not to get on it. So on the white piece. So now I'm putting hot glue down on the white piece, and I'm going to stick my popsicle stick right under my window. And here we go. This is just turning out too cute, you guys. At some point I should be sticking this, let me see, what am I doing? Oh, Lordy. Sorry, you guys. I got these out of order and when I was doing the editing, and so I'm trying to remember what I did. Okay, now I'm going to glue my little Christmas tree at the top, and I already doodled that with my trio marker set. I call it my trio marker set. It's a fine Sharpie, ultra fine Sharpie, and a white gel pen by Uniball. Now I'm going to take, I've got a piece of one of those posts from one of those signs that we did the projects with when we made our Christmas, what was it that we did? We made those, they came off of our signpost that we've got at the Dollar Tree, and we didn't use all the pieces for our porch sign. And so I saved those little posts that I had already painted black, and I'm going to use that to put Merry Christmas on the camper. But what you see me doing here is I got my pen trio out, and I'm taking the fine Sharpie marker and I'm just doodling around the edges. And then the next thing I'm going to do, okay, I doodled all the way around the edges with that dark with the fine Sharpie marker. Now I'm coming in with the ultra fine one, and I'm just making squiggly lines. And if you'll notice, I even did the center of the window with that, and putting little lines in there to highlight where it would look like it was glass. And I'm just doodling all over this project, and I'm doing squiggly lines. I'm not being perfect. It's okay, because this is the way it's supposed to look, because remember how we did it on our truck. Now I'm going to come back in with my I'm going to look to see if I want to put the fender on there. And I do put that fender on there. I take and put some hot glue on it. And remember, if you're gluing on the metal, you got to move pretty fast. And then I'm going to put it right over the top. And the reason why I did that is because I put fenders on my truck. Now I'm going to come in with my white Uniball Sharpie, or no, not Sharpie, gel pen. And we're going to doodle all over the windows and stuff. And this is kind of going to give it that little snow effect. And I won't make y'all sit through all of this, but we're going to just doodle all over it in different places. Okay, after I finish doodling all the way around and on my little post up front, I'm going to finally glue my little wreath on. And I think this is just adorable. And there's no other way of saying it. It matches our little red truck and it is too cute. Then we're going to put a little plaid bow on it and then put our little jute bow on it. And I'm just looking to see what it looks like with the little red truck. And if you'll notice, I did put that little piece of wood under the window and doodled on it and said Merry Christmas. Now what you see me doing here, and I just hand wrote that on there. I first did it in pencil and then I went back over it with my white marker. Now this is not white paint that I'm putting down. This is glue. And the reason why I'm putting the glue down is because, and I'm doing it in a zigzag line, kind of following the patterns that I did on the truck, is because I'm going to put glitter on this, and this is where my little snow effect is going to come in. And it's just going to look too cute. And that's that iridescent glitter that I was telling y'all about to get. And I just put it on there, shake it on there. You know, everybody knows how to put glitter on. We've been doing it since grade school. But if you don't, and you've never done it before, it is so much fun. Okay, so we just shake it all off. And we shake it onto a piece of paper so we can take that glitter and pour it back in our little container. All right, you guys, we just finished our little red truck camper. Isn't this adorable? We took this camper and turned it into this. And I think this is just awesome. And we stuck it in our stand that we made, and we put it with our little red truck. Now you can glue this little red truck to the back of this, but I chose to leave it separate. And you see how I put the little peg in here and it rides on this back piece? When you measure this out, you want to make sure that measures so that it rides on that little that little piece in the back of your stand that we made. And if you want to know how we did the little red truck or we did the stand, watch this video and this video. Okay, you guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack, and we'll see you later. Bye!
Alright, you guys, we just are, we're something. Yes, we are. Okay, let's start this over. Alright, you guys, we did this. Yeah, we did something. We sure did. You guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. Like and subscribe so you can see us on our next videos. Well, you don't have to really do it for our next videos, but if you want to be notified when our next video comes out, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack when we're having more fun crafting along Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and there's another one, Instagram. There's so many of them, I have a hard time remembering what they are. But, you guys, if you like these projects, we show some different things on the other sites. Some of them I'm still learning how to use. But, on Facebook, yep, it's something. Yeah, it's something. You know, you just, what is it? It's camper. Yes, it's a camper for our little red truck. I think this just turned out. It turned out just beautiful. And we'll see y'all on the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.